Hey, sports fans. Captain Handsome back with the NFC West today. As you can tell by my sweet Earl Thomas jersey, the only Seahawks jersey I would ever wear and would not use as toilet paper. We'll talk a little bit about Earl Thomas and the Dallas Cowboys when we get to Seattle. Obviously, we're going to start with LA. The top of the division is where I like to start. They had a tremendous year last year, and they had a super busy offseason this year. You're bringing in Ndamukong Suh, you're bringing Marcus Peters, you're bringing in Aqib Talib, you're bringing Brandon Cooks. Adding that to a team that won the division last year, the fact that they can boast Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh, and Michael Brockers on that line is just awesome. It's just so impressive. I cannot wait to watch them in real game action. Super happy they locked Aaron Donald up. I never understood why it took so long to get that guy paid. He's probably the most important defensive player in the NFL. I know he's not the highest paid player anymore because Mac just signed that deal with the Bears. But for me, he's the most important guy in the NFL, most important defensive player in the NFL. And I'm really glad they locked him up. Look, they're a good team. They were good last year. They're going to be better this year, I think. You don't add those kind of pieces without really deciding you're going to make a run for it. They have to be one of the favorites. They are one of the favorites from a Vegas standpoint. And, as far as I can say, they're the best team in this division. I can't see any reason why they shouldn't win 12 games. I don't think it's as strong a division as some other people think. A lot of people think that the Niners are going to be good. I think the Niners will be better just because they're better than Arizona and they're better than Seattle. But I don't see the Niners being a playoff team. I really see the Rams going 5-1 in this division minimum, running away with the division with 12 wins. Realistically, I think that they're probably the number one seed in the NFC simply because the division that they play in and the fact that they're really good. You got another year of Goff. You've got another year of McVay really teaching, this quarterback and instilling his offense and letting it grow. And, Todd Gurley is super money. I think Gerald Everett's going to break out this year. They're just a really deep team. They improved their defense. They improved their offense. Both of those were already good. And now the sky's the limit for this team. When they signed Sue, I said I think that they're really trying to hit a home run here, and I think that they're going to. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think that they're definitely one of the top contenders. For me, I like them, and I like Atlanta a lot. And you obviously can't count out Philadelphia, but if I had to rank them, I've got LA, who you'll hear me 1,000 times call them St. Louis. I can't stop calling them St. Louis, but I like the LA Rams as I think probably the top favorite for the Super Bowl this year, which means they won't win, but I think that they're the best team heading into the season. From a fantasy perspective, there's some options. Obviously, Todd Gurley for me is the number one pick this year. I just had a draft where I had the number one pick. I don't get it very often for the number of drafts that I play in. I rarely get to pick first overall, but I did, and I took him because I think he's the best fantasy option. PPR or not PPR, I just think he's the best option. Aside from that, I think if you can get Goff as a backup, he's a solid option because they had some big games, and if you have an opportunity against a weak pass defense, you chuck him in there, and I think that it's a smart thing to do. Provided you don't have a better matchup with your actual starter. Aside from that, it's really tough to look at these receivers and go and really be aggressive with them. Everybody knows how much I love Cooper Kupp, but I don't know if there's going to be enough balls to go around this year. They added Cooks. I just think that I worry that there won't be enough balls to go around after adding Cooks, and I think Everett's gonna move his way up as well. And I really think Everett could be a real force on that team. So I think it's really smart that he's another guy I would look at really late as your backup tight end. But from a receiver standpoint, I'd probably avoid them because I really think they're all going to take each other's balls. If you're in a PPR, maybe you look at Cooper Kupp just because he's got such a great relationship with Goff, and Goff seems to like him as his outlet if he's in trouble. So maybe Cooper Kupp in a PPR. But as far as that, I'd probably let other people scoop them up and go where there's value elsewhere. Next, we're going to move on to the 49ers. The 49ers had a couple of major additions this year. Added Jerick McKinnon, who is already hurt, and added Richard Sherman, who apparently looks like he used to and apparently looks like he's ready to go. Crazy to see Sherman go from Seattle to the Niners. I'm excited to see what he can do there. Obviously, I've, like everyone else, have bought into Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G is going to be a stud. But is he going to be a stud this year? Who knows? The honest truth is, it's going to take some time, right? Do I see them going, becoming an 11-win team and being a contender this year? No, I don't. But are they getting better? Of course they are. The McKinnon thing's going to hurt. But is it a massive step down to go to Alfred Morris and Matt Breida? Not really. We all like Jimmy G. Marquise Goodwin is, looks like him and Jimmy are going to, hit it up really well. Everybody's in love with George Kittle. Aside from that, their receiving core isn't super, super deep. Pierre Garçon, people are loving Trent Taylor. And, I guess if you've got a diminutive white receiver, it's not so bad that he's going to go to play on a team with a quarterback who was trained by the Patriots, right? People really like Trent Taylor. I picked him up in a few pools just because people are, the smart people who are smarter than me are saying that he could be somebody. So their offense looks solid. It looks pretty balanced. Defensively, I think they're still in trouble. I think that they're still a couple years away. They drafted Thomas and Foster last year. They didn't seem to hit. They didn't look bad, but they didn't look great, and there's some injury stuff. And Sherman should help with the secondary. So I think they're going to be a better team this year, but I don't think they're going to be a great team. I think they're maybe an 8-8 team. And that'll still be definitely easy good enough to be the second best team in this division. From a fantasy perspective, people are jumping on Jimmy G really early. I probably avoid that. Marquise Goodwin had tons of value, in June and July when I was doing drafts, and no value at all right now because all the experts are talking about him. So everybody's in love with him. You can still get George Kittle super late, which I really, really, really like. And you can still get Matt Breida. I did a draft tonight, and I think I got him in the 12th round. And he's going to get a lot more touches now. He's not going to be the bell cow. Morris is going to do the heavy lifting. But I think Breida is going to have more real opportunities and more of the scoring opportunities as well. So out of the two of them, I like Breida better. Morris has got a higher ADP right now. But I like Breida a lot better myself. Receiving wise, yeah, like I said, if you can get a late flyer on Trent Taylor, I have him in a league where I've got 6 bench spots. And so why not take a flyer on him? And if he, and it's a PPR, so he seems like a guy who might be a slot PPR guy. I've always said I'm a big fan of George Kittle, so yeah. Again, as a second tight end, if you can get him as a second tight end, absolutely. It looks like is going to have opportunities in this offense, so take a flyer on him. Moving on to Arizona. Obviously, they're going through a ton of changes. The biggest one being their quarterback change. That's obviously a really, really big one. Carson Palmer is retired, so they went out and they signed Sam Bradford. And then, of course, they drafted my favorite rookie quarterback this year in Josh Rosen. I called it last year. I told everybody I thought Deshaun Watson was the best quarterback, and I'm telling you right now, I think Josh Rosen's the best quarterback in this draft class. And we'll see. I don't dislike Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold is very good too. Everybody knows I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan. I think he's going to be fine, but I don't think you can I don't think you can go from a spread offense to the NFL. I think really they should, put Mayfield with a clipboard, and let him learn for a little bit, year maybe 2. But it looks like that's what they're going to do with Rosen. It looks like he's at least not going to start this year. I think when he does, he's going to be great. I just don't think this is the year for them. I know that they've got David Johnson back, and and Larry Fitzgerald has found the fountain of youth because he's Larry Fitzgerald. And it looked at the end of the year like Ricky Seals-Jones was really becoming somebody. Their offensive line is really bad, and it's not getting any better. And defensively, I still think they're very, very shaky. I know losing Carlos Dansby isn't like a big deal, but I feel like it matters in the sense that like he was one of those guys who like got them together and was a leader for the team, and so I mean we'll see if there's somebody there to fix that for them. I think I'm just checking my notes. I'm fairly certain. Yeah, I mean, obviously they lost Tyrann Mathieu as well. I thought something happened. Yeah, Frosty Rucker as well is gone. And I just think that there's too many big losses for this team, and I think that they're in trouble. I think that they're rebuilding is what I'm saying. I think they're in trouble this year. And I think this might end up being Fitz's last year because of that. I mean, who am I to say? I mean, the guy's such an incredible athlete, and I love him. But I just don't see them winning that many games. Sam Bradford's going to be hurt by week 4, so Josh Rosen's probably going to get forced into action. They don't think he's ready yet, and that's not a good sign. That's not it's not an ideal situation. It's not what you want to have to run into, right? So, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. I don't see them as more than like a 6-win team. As far as fantasy goes, I don't touch Bradford, obviously. David Johnson, for me, is probably the number 3 overall. He might be number 2 in a PPR, but to me, he's 3 behind Gurley and Zeke. And, I mean, he's very, very good. Obviously, I love Fitz. I got Fitz at, I think, 30th in the draft I did. Yeah, one of the drafts I did yesterday. And if you can get him at that point, especially if you can get him in a PPR that late, like, take it and run, because Fitz is still putting up numbers, and it looks like he's going to be their guy. I also love Ricky Seals-Jones as a late tight end pick. You can get him as your TE2 on your team. I guarantee you can, because nobody's looking at him, and he had a really great end of last year, and I feel like they're going to get that going for him. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I think about Arizona. And lastly, we'll move on to Seattle, the team that did not trade Earl Thomas to the Cowboys for a second-round pick, which I think is just insane. I really can't see them getting more than that for him. And maybe they're just I don't know, digging their heels in the ground. Maybe they don't want their fans to just see everybody leaving. I mean, Michael Bennett, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, obviously. You got Paul Richards. I mean, the list goes on. Jimmy Graham, the players who've left the team this year. You've already got, like, Rashad Penny's already hurt, and so it looks like your 7th rounder is going to be your starter to start the year with Chris Carson again. Apparently Penny gained 16 pounds after the combine, so he's not the same guy they drafted, obviously. Yeah, I don't see Seattle. I mean, I think Seattle's going to be awful. For me, like, even Doug Baldwin, apparently Doug Baldwin's not going to be 100% the whole season, so you're asking a lot out of Chris Carson or Rashard Penny with a bad offensive line. Russell Wilson can do that because he's Russell Wilson and he's one of the best quarterbacks of the game, and I still think he's going to put up his kind of numbers. But beyond that, I just don't see this being a pretty situation for the Seahawks. With a banged up offense, a bad offensive line, I really feel like they're putting their star QB out by himself to deal with a lot of crap. So I just don't see them being a very good team this year. 4 wins, I mean, I think that's really realistic. I just don't think they're very good. I think their offense is bad. I think their defense is bad. That said, from a fantasy perspective, Russell Wilson is my QB2 because he's going to have to throw the ball a lot because he's going to be behind a lot. He also can make things happen with his legs if he needs to. And when Baldwin's there and when Baldwin's going, yeah, he's going to be he's a great receiver, and he's always been an undervalued receiver. I also think this gives a lot of opportunity for Tyler Lockett, who for years I've been saying is a sleeper, but this year he just might be because based on attrition, he's the number 2 guy, and if Baldwin's not 100%, Lockett's going to be used a lot more. So he might be a guy that, I mean, you can get him super late. He's not getting drafted in a bunch. I think his ADP might be undrafted or very, very high. So he's a guy you can sneak at the end of your draft and just hope you hit a home run with that. That's kind of where I am with the NFC West. Tomorrow, this is going to go out Thursday morning, and then Thursday afternoon I'm going to post something just with my picks. You know what? I'll do it right now. I got time. This is only 15 minutes long, so let's do it right now. The picks that I made just for tomorrow, I took Atlanta on the money line, 1 unit. I took Atlanta when I got them +3, and I teased Atlanta to +10, a 7-point teaser, and I teased the total to an over from 45 down to 38. So I did a teaser of Atlanta +10 and over 38 for the game. And those are the 3 bets I have on tomorrow's game. I don't normally do 3 units on any particular game unless I have a strong feeling about it, but I've really been itching to bet on football, and it's the first game of the season. And the truth is, I really think Atlanta's going to win that game. So I made those bets, and that's where we stand. I will have a proper betting podcast out Friday or Saturday, and then I'm going to try to have one done either Thursday or Friday, depending on the timing for the week. And yeah, so please make sure to hit that subscribe button so that Ruffles can give me some money. And let me know what you think. As always, if you have any tips, any thoughts, anything like that, please let me know. I always appreciate it. Enjoy the football game tomorrow night. I know I will. Or if you're watching this, it'll probably be tonight. I know I will.